My own mother just stole my future, Julie shrieked, heels echoing like gunfire. Ellie rose from the lobby chair she'd used to outmaneuver them all. No, sweetheart, she said, voice like steel wrapped in velvet. You stole mine first. The sheriff handed over the final deed. Julie's face crumbled. Gasps followed as she was escorted out of her mother's condo, on camera. It started with a forged signature. It ended with a nation watching Ellie take her name back. All right, before we dive into this crazy story, do me a favor. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. The car door didn't slam, which somehow made it worse. Just a soft, quick click, neat and forgettable, like a courtesy you extend to someone you're not coming back for. Julie didn't linger. Darren didn't even get out of the driver's seat. Just a few days, Mom, maybe a week. They've got to fix the plumbing in your unit. Mold or something. Julie's voice had the smooth edge of practiced distraction. Her sunglasses stayed on, even in the shade. Ellie nodded, though her stomach knew better. She looked up at the peach-colored stucco building with its white railings and hedges trimmed like they were afraid to offend. A carved wooden sign read Sunset Haven, the typeface cheerful enough to feel condescending. Inside, the lobby smelled like lemon wax and old upholstery. A floral print couch sat beneath a framed watercolor of sea oats. Ellie had once helped design a hotel lobby like this, cheap fabric dressed up with dim lighting and warm neutrals. It was all meant to comfort, to distract. The woman behind the desk wore a pink name badge that read Rhonda. Her voice was sugar thick. Welcome, Mrs. Grant. We're so glad to have you. Let's get you settled, Ellie followed her down a hallway, lined with cheerful wallpaper and smiling faces. The air was clean, chilled. Too clean, too chilled. Like a hotel that forgot its guests were here indefinitely. Her room had a view of the parking lot, one twin bed, one floral curtain, one tiny TV already tuned to a home renovation show. The irony was immediate and cruel. Julie had left her a single overnight bag, one floral nightgown folded on top, no iPad, no charger. Ellie reached for her cell out of habit, no signal. The screen flickered, searching, then went blank. No Wi-Fi, no bars. Just a beige landline bolted to the wall like a relic, a polite cage. Hours passed the way they always do when you have nowhere to be. A nurse came in. Blonde, maybe 30, with sneakers that squeaked and a smile that didn't. She took Ellie's blood pressure, asked about allergies, then left with the chart tucked under one arm like a tray of bad news. Later, alone again, Ellie sat at the window, trying to remember how silence used to feel when she chose it. It wasn't the same. Silence earned is peace. Silence imposed is exile. The sun was dipping low when the past arrived uninvited. The condo, her condo, not the plumbing, not the pipes, but the marble slab countertops she and Charles had picked out together in 2003, still gleaming beneath the soft glow of under-cabinet lights. The crown molding she'd argued for, the blue ceramic bowl she'd found at a roadside antique store, still resting in its place. Julie had posted it all on her Instagram story. Ellie had logged into the shared family account from the landline browser, a clunky trick, but not beyond her, and there it was, Julie laughing with a glass of white wine, the condo behind her, Darren walking through the master suite, gesturing with a realtor's ease. A new caption appeared across the video. Soft launch, big reveal soon. Her hands trembled, not with age, with recognition. They hadn't stored her things. They were living in them. She closed the browser, the screen dimming like a lid lowering over something rotten. Her heart beat out a rhythm of betrayal and disbelief, and somewhere deeper than that, rage began to gather. There was a knock at the door. Software measured. A young nurse stepped in, short curls tucked behind her ears, clipboard in hand. Erica, her tag said. I thought you might want some water, she said gently, setting the glass on the side table. Ellie nodded, unsure if she could speak without the words cracking open into something sharp. As Erica turned to go, she hesitated, then glanced back. They didn't leave a return date, she said, voice quiet but clear. Just said to make you comfortable. She left, the door clicking shut behind her. Ellie sat very still, Then she reached for the glass of water and took one slow sip. Comfort, they said. She was done being comfortable, let them come back when they wanted to, but when they did, the locks would be different. The next morning, Ellie made her way to the front desk with the determined grace of someone trying not to look like they were staging an escape. Her slippers whispered across the tile. She waited behind a man arguing over his medication schedule until Rhonda finally looked up from the computer, still chewing her gum like it owed her rent. "Hi, Mrs. Grant? Everything okay?" "I'd like to schedule transportation home," Ellie said, calm and crisp. "Back to my condo on Willow Bay." Rhonda gave her the sort of smile people reserve for toddlers holding scissors. "Oh, honey, I think there's been a little mix-up. Your daughter has power of attorney. All movement decisions need to go through her." Ellie's brows twitched. "She doesn't have power of attorney." "She filed paperwork last week," Rhonda replied, typing something that sounded unnecessary. "It's in the system. But if you'd like, I can leave a message with her cell." "No." Ellie's voice was quieter, firmer. "I'll handle it." She turned without waiting for a goodbye and walked slowly back to her room. Her mind was moving too fast for her legs. Julie had filed something, without a conversation, without a form she remembered signing, which meant it wasn't a mistake, it was a strategy. That afternoon, when Erica came in for her shift, Ellie asked for 5 minutes of privacy. "Can you get me on a real internet connection?" she asked, keeping her voice low. "Not the guest portal. Something that works." Erica studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "My laptop's in the break room. Give me 10. 15 minutes later, they sat side by side at the nurse's station after hours, the hallway dim, quiet. Ellie typed slowly, her knuckles stiff, but her aim precise. She navigated to the Collier County Clerk of Court's website, property records, public access, search, Grant, Eleanor M. And there it was, her name, still listed as the owner of 6123 Willow Bay Circle. No transfer on file, no sale, no trust handoff. Julie hadn't sold it. She was simply acting like she had. Ellie leaned back, air catching in her lungs like it forgot how to move. Erica looked over. "It's still yours?" Ellie nodded. "Every square inch." She closed the laptop and stared at the far wall like it might blink back. "What's next?" Erica asked softly. Ellie didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached for the notepad by the nurse's phone and turned to a blank sheet. Her fingers moved carefully at first, then faster. Lines forming walls, labels forming memories. Living room, 10 feet across. Kitchen, angled island with beveled quartz. Master bedroom, built-in shelves Charles had stained by hand one Christmas. Each corner came alive under her pen, not just as shapes, but as intentions. "You're drawing it," Erica said almost in awe. "I'm not drawing," Ellie murmured. "I'm taking inventory." She kept going, annotating outlets, sun exposure, floor transitions, all the things a designer would notice, all the things a thief would underestimate. Finally, she paused and tapped her pen twice against the paper. "Julie's hosting an open house," she said flatly. Erica blinked. "Wait, what?" "Tomorrow." She posted a link in her bio. "It's a by-appointment showcase for serious buyers only." "And she doesn't own it." "Number. But she thinks I won't figure that out." Ellie looked up, her eyes clear now. "Or that if I do, I won't know what to do with it." Erica let out a slow whistle. "You planning to crash the party?" "Something like that." For a second, they both sat in silence. One young and wired, the other old and burning slow but hot. Ellie picked up the pad again and started marking the layout in red ink this time. Paths, entry points, shadows in the corners. Not just design anymore. Tactics. This wasn't heartbreak now. This was reconnaissance. And tomorrow, Ellie Grant was going home. Even if she had to walk through the front door like a stranger, she'd walk out as something else entirely. The Uber driver didn't ask questions. Ellie appreciated that. She'd chosen a wide-brimmed straw hat and dark tortoiseshell sunglasses, the kind that screamed Palm Beach widow more than uninvited homeowner. Her floral scarf, a vintage silk piece she'd nearly given away last year, billowed slightly against the air vent. She looked the part of someone hunting for a second property, not someone reclaiming her first. The condo building looked the same, at least from the street. Whitewashed stucco, cobalt shutters, bougainvillea curling up the trellis like memory trying to reclaim its place. But the feeling was off. She saw a white Mercedes parked crookedly across two visitor spots. Julie's. A cheap red feather boa hung from the rearview mirror like an inside joke between people who'd never done anything difficult. Ellie stepped into the building foyer and smiled politely at a young man with a clipboard, tall, thinning hair, earpiece, probably a friend of Darren's playing bouncer for the day. He barely looked up from his tablet. "Name?" he asked. "Mrs. Carter," Ellie said smoothly. "From Coral Gables. I saw the listing in the invite-only group." He scanned the screen. "Go ahead in, just don't crowd the kitchen. There's a walkthrough happening now." "Wouldn't dream of it." Inside, everything looked painfully familiar. Only off. The cobalt vase had been moved to the left side of the entryway. The orchid she nurtured for years was gone, replaced by a glossy fake. Her blue velvet armchair now had a gold throw draped across it. Someone had tried to sell luxury using the bones of her life. Julie appeared around the corner in heels too high for the tile, clutching a flute of champagne and laughing with someone who looked like a mortgage broker. For a moment, she didn't register the woman standing in the archway. Then her face flickered like a light bulb seeing its own expiration date. "Can I help you?" Julie asked, the voice too bright, too brittle. Ellie didn't flinch. "Lovely space. Quiet. Excellent light." Julie blinked, frozen for half a second. "You seem familiar." "I helped design half of Naples between 1985 and 2000. Julie forced a smile. "Ah, a fellow creative. Wonderful." Ellie let her eyes drift toward the kitchen. Her kitchen. Marble still gleamed under harsh track lighting. The bar stools were the same, just reupholstered in a loud faux leather that clashed with the backsplash. She moved through the space slowly, deliberately. Her fingertips brushed the top of the old bookshelf, still there, still scratched from where Charles once dropped a tape measure. She found the sideboard in the dining nook ajar. A careless hand had left it open. She peeked inside, and there it was. A wedding photo, her and Charles, cheeks flushed from Florida sun, her veil tucked awkwardly behind one ear, tossed there like junk mail. Ellie felt her chest contract, sharp and sudden, but she closed the drawer softly and turned back around, face composed. "May I see the master?" she asked. Julie hesitated. "Actually, we're staggering walkthroughs to manage flow, privacy and all. Maybe we can reschedule for—" Ellie raised a single eyebrow. "I'll wait then." That's when Darren appeared, phone in hand, eyes narrowing. Julie leaned in, whispering too loudly. "She's not a buyer. It's her, she's—" Ellie smiled wide enough to unsettle. "Relax, Julie. I'm not here to cause a scene." Security was summoned anyway. A lean man in a black polo began walking toward her from the lobby. Ellie held up both hands. "I'm leaving. You'll find everything exactly as I didn't leave it." She exited with the same quiet poise she'd walked in with. The ride back to Sunset Haven was uneventful. She didn't speak to the driver, didn't look out the window. She clutched her purse tight, her fingers brushing the sketch she'd folded inside earlier that morning. Back in her room, Erica found her seated at the small desk, already dialing. "You okay?" she asked gently. Ellie nodded. "It's time." "For what?" Ellie held up a post-it with a phone number scribbled in her old lawyer's handwriting. "To call someone who still remembers I built that home with my own hands." Erica smiled faintly, stepping back toward the door. "You need anything?" Ellie's voice was like steel wrapped in velvet. "Just privacy." And as the door clicked shut, Ellie began the next chapter, not as the woman they'd boxed away, but as the woman who now held the pen. Ellie had always believed that real power didn't roar. It moved in silence, pen to paper, signature to page. By the time anyone noticed, it had already changed everything. Her call with Gregory Salazar, her old estate lawyer, began with tight pleasantries but quickly turned clinical. "Ellie," he said, after hearing the basics, "your daughter filed a digital copy of a power of attorney document 3 weeks ago. It appears to bear your signature." "It isn't mine," she said, steady. He paused. Then we've got forgery. What do I need to do? He didn't hesitate. Give me 48 hours. We'll move to revoke the POA and file a fraud petition with the court. You still have full deed control? I checked the county records myself. Good, he said. Get me copies of everything. Deed, will, bank statements, anything that shows consistent intent, time-stamped, notarized if possible. We'll build from there. After they hung up, Ellie sat still for a moment. The handset clicked back into its cradle like the bolt on a gate. The air in her room felt thick, not heavy, but full, like it knew a storm had shifted directions. Erica arrived a few minutes later, setting down a folder of weekly medication logs. You look like someone just got out of the stocks, she said, arching a brow. I need a printer, Ellie replied, straight-faced, and a notary, and 10 minutes on your Wi-Fi. Erica blinked once, then nodded. By 6 p.m., Ellie had printed the essentials from Gregory's secure cloud folder, scanned deeds, notarized copies of her will, monthly banking statements that showed her condo's utilities, maintenance fees, and taxes had been paid from her personal accounts, not a trust, not a proxy. Her name was still on everything. Her life hadn't disappeared. It had just been wallpapered over. Erica knocked softly around dinner time. You still up for a notary? I called my friend. Vanessa, she does mobile signings, won't ask questions. Ellie smirked. Tell her to bring 2 black pens and a strong stomach. An hour later, Vanessa arrived, mid-30s, hair in a messy bun, smelling faintly of lavender hand sanitizer. Ellie signed each document with deliberate grace, her pen pressure even, every letter carved like a promise. I'll overnight these, Vanessa said. Confirmation number by morning. After she left, Erica lingered. You're not just getting your name back, she said. You're starting something, aren't you? Ellie didn't answer. She was already logging into the private real estate network she once used for designer referrals and off-market flips, still bookmarked under her old design firm's name, E. Maxwell and Company. Maxwell, her maiden name, the one no one had sullied. The listing interface loaded slowly, but it was familiar, like muscle memory that hadn't atrophied. She uploaded 10 photos she'd found in her archives, before the reupholstered chairs, before Julie's tacky edits, the original crown molding, the sunset pouring through the west-facing kitchen window, the floor plan annotated with subtle notes, natural light, Italian marble, custom shelving. Then she wrote the caption, Oceanfront Elegance, must sell fast, seller motivated, title clear, direct inquiries only, no price listed, no address disclosed, just enough breadcrumbs to attract whispers. Going public? Erica asked. Ellie shook her head. Not yet. I'm setting a trap. She leaned back, eyes scanning the glow of the screen. Her reflection appeared faintly in the glass, sharp eyes, defiant cheekbones. A woman halfway between blueprint and reckoning. The listing pulsed once and posted. A soft notification dinged. View count, 1, then 3, then 14. She closed the laptop. The quiet in the room was different now. No longer the stillness of being left behind. It was the quiet before you draw a blade clean from the sheath. Ellie stood, crossed to the window, and pulled the curtain back just enough to glimpse the far edge of the parking lot. A white Mercedes was parked near the visitor entrance. It wasn't hers, but the next one might be. She turned away from the glass, her voice just above a whisper. Let's see who wants to buy what was never for sale. The developer's voice crackled faintly through Ellie's laptop speakers. The screen split between his pressed smile and a slideshow of blueprints he clearly hadn't designed himself. Ms. Maxwell, he began, overly polished. The listing caught our attention right away. Location, staging, impressive. We're prepared to make a direct offer. Cash Ellie, seated upright in her room at Sunset Haven, tilted the camera slightly so the generic artwork behind her could pass as a hotel or office. She wore a silk scarf, pearl studs, and the kind of no-nonsense posture people associate with executors and old money. I'm acting on behalf of the estate, she said smoothly, keeping her expression neutral. My niece passed rather suddenly. I'm simply trying to wrap things up clean. The developer's eyes flicked. Just briefly, before he nodded. Well, we specialize in quick closes. No inspection delays, no bank hang-ups. Our offer is $780,000. Under market, but it's cash and clear. Ellie took a long sip of water, letting the silence mature. Then, 840. Firm. He hesitated. That's aggressive. So am I. A pause. Then, deal. She smiled faintly. Send the docs to my counsel. I'll have them by Thursday. We close Friday. When the call ended, Ellie sat still for a beat longer than necessary. The satisfaction didn't come from the sale. It came from precision, from knowing exactly how far to push and how easily people crumbled when they underestimated her. The condo was nearly gone. Not to Julie, not to Darren, to someone who would never know who once folded linens on that marble counter while humming old Sinatra. Erica knocked once, then slipped in. How'd it go? Sold, Ellie said, handing her a flash drive. Now I need a bank account that doesn't have my name in cursive on the checks. Together, they walked down to the community computer room, where Erica opened an encrypted browser and sat beside Ellie as she filled out the paperwork to establish the E. Maxwell Living Trust. Primary beneficiary, undisclosed. Secondary, the No One Forgotten Foundation, future charter pending. When they were done, Ellie clicked submit and leaned back. Goodbye, Julie, she said under her breath. Later that evening, Erica brought tea and lingered near the window. Tell me something, she said gently. What was Julie like before all this? Ellie stared into her cup. Steam curled against the glass of her reading specs. She was earnest, Ellie said slowly. When she was 10, she saved for 3 months to buy me a ceramic rose for Mother's Day, cried when it chipped in the car. She used to ask questions about everything. Mortgage rates, why a wall needs insulation, what dignity meant. Erica sat down across from her. Her what changed? I told her once, Ellie said, voice tightening, that equity was more than money, that it meant fairness, that we build futures like houses. Layered, inspected, reinforced. She smiled sadly. I thought she listened. 2 days later, across town, Brandon, the widowed jazz musician who lived 2 floors down from Ellie's old condo, was watering his window planter when he spotted Julie on the balcony. At first he thought it was a renter, but then he recognized the way she tossed her hair, the laugh that didn't match the neighborhood. She was giving a tour to a couple dressed like HGTV interns. He frowned. Ellie hadn't said she was moving, hadn't said anything. He went inside and dialed a number from an old Rolodex Ellie had once made for the HOA board. Back at Sunset Haven, Ellie sat at her desk as Erica handed her the sale agreement. You ready? She asked. Ellie signed with quiet certainty. Let them throw another open house, she murmured. They'll be selling a ghost. Just then, her phone buzzed. A voicemail from Brandon. Ellie, sorry to bother you, just something odd I saw at the condo. Thought you should know. Call me back when you can. Ellie hit delete. She didn't need rescue. She needed runway. And this time, the exit was hers to control. The emergency injunction came at 8:47 a.m. on Thursday. Gregory forwarded the court filing with a subject line that read simply, Nice try, Julie. Attached was a copy of the motion, typed in frantic legalese, arguing that the current seller, one Eleanor Grant, was mentally unfit to handle property transactions and had transferred power of attorney to her daughter for protection. Ellie read it over tea. She didn't flinch. She just raised one eyebrow, sipped, and said, Let's dance. By 10:03, Gregory had filed his response. Swift, surgical. Attached were notarized statements, hospital evaluations confirming full mental competency, and most damning, a forensic report on Julie's digitally altered power of attorney. The signature had been copied and pasted from a 2015 tax document. Your daughter, Gregory texted, is either very dumb or very desperate. Ellie smiled. Both. By Friday morning, the buyer's moving truck pulled into the condo parking lot. Julie and Darren were still inside, pretending they had a legal leg to stand on. But when the sheriff arrived with a file in hand and a court order in the other, all they could do was stall. We were misled, Darren shouted as boxes were removed. Julie clutched the back of a bar stool like it was her last defense. This is elder abuse, she shrieked. No, ma'am, the officer said. calm and unimpressed. "This is legal restitution." They were out by noon. At 1:42 p.m., the double doors of Sunset Haven flew open like the climax of a soap opera. Julie burst into the lobby in a hot pink windbreaker, face blotched, mascara smudged like war paint. "Where is she?" she screamed. "Where the hell is she?" Residents turned. A spoon clattered into a teacup. Ellie, seated at a table in the corner, folded her crossword and rose without haste. "She has no right," Julie ranted to anyone who would listen. "That was supposed to be mine. I made her comfortable. I gave her options." Ellie stepped forward, voice level. "You gave me confinement and called it convenience." Julie's chest heaved. "You're destroying your own family." "No," Ellie said, eyes unwavering. "You did that. I'm just documenting the damage." Erica appeared beside her like a closing parenthesis, clipboard in hand. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Julie turned on her. "And you're encouraging this. You don't even know her." "I know what consent looks like," Erica said, still calm. "And what it doesn't." Two aides approached. Julie backed away, tears pooling but not falling. "You're old," she snapped. "You won't win." Ellie didn't respond. She turned, walked back to her chair, and picked up her crossword again. Julie left in a gust of cheap perfume and expensive fear. That night, Erica found Ellie sitting by the koi pond, her scarf tucked under one arm, pen tapping gently against a notepad. "You okay?" she asked. "I expected a tantrum," Ellie said without looking up. "I didn't expect the echoes to hurt." "She'll come back harder," Erica warned. "She's not used to losing." "Neither was I," Ellie said, "until she taught me how." The koi swirled below them, orange flashes in moonlight. "I've been thinking," Ellie said softly. "Sunset Haven has over 200 residents. You know how many of them have airtight wills? Or understand digital assets? Or even know how to track their own deeds?" Erica tilted her head. "Not many." "Exactly. We're a population of sitting targets." "What are you thinking?" "A pilot program, workshops, legal resources, partnerships with advocacy firms, something simple at first." "You're starting a movement?" Ellie smiled. "I'm starting phase 2. She stood slowly, joints popping, but gaze sharp. "They tried to shut me away. Now I'll teach everyone how to build doors." Down the hallway, the fax machine whirred again. Another message from Gregory. The motion had been dismissed, Julie's claims denied. The condo sale was final, clean. Ellie didn't check it. She didn't need to. She just picked up her notepad and wrote across the top of the next page, "No one forgotten," underlined twice. Then under it, a question: "How do you build a revolution quietly?" The koi stirred again as if answering. She'd find a way. It started with a blurry photo. Ellie, cross-legged at the koi pond, holding a clipboard and sipping chamomile, squinting into the sun. Erica had taken it as a joke, captioned it, "Elder Queen plots your downfall." She posted it to her private Instagram with 37 followers. By morning, it had been screenshot, reposted, filtered, memed. Then it caught fire. Condo from the lobby began trending on TikTok. Someone paired it with a slowed-down cover of "You Don't Own Me," another layered clips of Sunset Haven with text overlays. "She didn't retire, she reloaded." Ellie was bemused at first. She didn't understand why someone added laser eyes to her photo, but then a screenshot from Julie's listing showed up, Ellie's blue velvet chair labeled "Boomer Throne Confiscated," and she felt it. The momentum wasn't noise anymore, it was leverage. By the end of the week, Erica set up a laptop on Ellie's desk with a blank document open. "I think it's time," she said. Ellie stared at the blinking cursor for a moment. Then, with deliberate keystrokes, she began. "Why I Sold My Condo from the Lobby," by Eleanor Grant. They said the plumbing needed fixing. They meant, "We want your view." They told me to rest. They meant, "Stay silent." So I rested, with legal counsel. I stayed silent, with a printer, a deed, and a notary. I didn't win because I'm clever. I won because I remembered who I was before they tried to lock me behind lemon-scented walls. If you're reading this from a place that smells like disinfectant and someone else's decisions, know this: it's not too late. By midnight, the post had over 40,000 shares. Reddit threads lit up with women trading stories, sons who moved into their homes temporarily, daughters who insisted the nursing home was safer, power of attorney documents signed with a shaky hand and no real consent. One woman posted a selfie holding up her revoked POA. The caption read, "Inspired by Eleanor Grant, no one forgotten." Another commented, "Can we fund her legal army? I'll send my bingo winnings." Ellie scrolled slowly, her lips twitching at the edges. "This is what momentum looks like," Erica said, scrolling beside her. "Now what?" Ellie asked. "Do I learn TikTok?" "You don't need to. You're already a brand." "God help us," Ellie muttered, but the smile was real this time. By the next week, 3 media outlets had reached out. A local news anchor wanted to highlight generational resilience. A podcast requested a recorded segment on elder finance traps. A producer from The View left a voicemail that began, "We just love your story." Ellie declined them all, for now, not because she was scared, because she wasn't done writing her own terms. Instead, she started small. A shared Google Drive titled "No One Forgotten." Erica helped her create folders, sample wills, financial red flags, recording family conversations legally, exit strategies 101. Then they added a form, "Share your story." Within 72 hours, they had over 120 submissions. A retired librarian in Michigan, a Black Army widow from North Carolina, a Filipino-American war bride in Nevada, each with a daughter, son, or niece who had rewritten their endings too early. Ellie read every word. She printed some and paperclipped them by category. She wasn't building a foundation, she was building a firewall. Erica knocked one evening carrying a stack of manila envelopes and 2 cups of jasmine tea. "I have good news." Ellie raised an eyebrow. "The Naples Tribune wants an op-ed, and—" She held up a glossy envelope with the station's logo. "Good Morning America wants a remote interview." Ellie didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned back to the koi pond window, watching the water ripple. "I want to say yes," she murmured, "but not because I'm angry. I want to speak while I'm whole, not as a warning but a blueprint." Erica smiled. "Then say yes. Your terms, your mic." Ellie nodded slowly. "Let's go public." But even as she said it, her mind wasn't on the headlines. It was on July. Somewhere, her daughter was watching the same feeds, reading the same threads. And Ellie knew the next play would come soon. But this time, she'd built her stage first, with walls that didn't crack, and locks only she had the key for. At 7:58 a.m., Ellie Grant sat in the private library room of Sunset Haven, framed by 2 borrowed lamps and 1 aggressively cheerful potted fern. Erica adjusted the webcam one last time, gently tilted the second lamp and whispered, "You're live in 90 seconds." Ellie smoothed the sleeve of her light blue cardigan and checked the angle of her scarf. Her pearls glowed softly beneath the collar, a subtle war paint gleam. "Don't let me ramble," she said. "I'll unplug the router if you do." Erica grinned, stepping away. The Zoom interface flickered, then the host appeared. Bright teeth, blown-out hair, Manhattan backdrop. "We are thrilled to welcome Eleanor Grant, the 74-year-old whose story of revenge, real estate, and resilience is captivating the nation." Ellie offered a modest smile, folding her hands in her lap. "Good morning, Robin." "I have to ask," the host said, already leaning forward. "Did you really sell your condo from the lobby of a retirement home?" Ellie tilted her head, as if surprised by her own answer. "Well, I had a notary, a printer, and a pen. That's all you need when they think you've already surrendered." Laughter rippled through the studio audience. The host leaned in again, eyes sparkling. "You've become something of a folk hero. People are calling you the patron saint of elder boundaries." "I'm not a saint," Ellie said, "just a woman who ran out of patience and remembered she still had power." The segment played a quick montage, screenshots of the viral blog post, a freeze frame of Julie's listing, even the koi pond photo that started it all. Then the host asked, "Do you have a message for families watching this? Children who might be making decisions for aging parents right now?" Ellie didn't hesitate. Ask, don't assume. Involve, don't override. And if your parent built something beautiful, respect it. Don't turn it into a shortcut. The chat feed blew up. Clapping erupted on screen. Erica mouthed, "You nailed it," from the corner. When the interview ended, Ellie let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Outside, the garden was just beginning to glow with early light, soft pink edging over the hedgerows. Erica helped her remove the mic, still watching the stream on her phone. "They're calling you the Gloria Steinem of assisted living." Ellie chuckled. "Don't tell Gloria, she'll sue." By noon, Julie's brokerage had scrubbed her photo from their website. Her LinkedIn account quietly vanished. No press releases, no denials, just absence. Ellie didn't smile, but she did not cry either. She spent the afternoon sorting through foundation paperwork, official forms from the state, a list of recommended board members, early funding ideas. The name had already been reserved, no one forgotten. At 3:45 p.m., a staffer slipped a cream envelope onto Ellie's side table. The return address was a state senator from Tallahassee. The letter was handwritten. "Ms. Grant, I read your story aloud to my mother. She cried. She asked me what I was doing to protect women like her. I didn't have a good answer. Now I do. Thank you for the blueprint." Senator Rachel Wynne Ellie ran her fingers over the ink. Real pen, real time, real change. She looked out the window and saw the staff setting up folding tables beneath the jacaranda tree, tablecloths flapping in the wind, trays of cookies and deviled eggs being unwrapped. A paper banner hung between two columns. "Congratulations, Ellie." Sunset Haven had thrown her a party. A dozen residents were gathered in their Sunday best. Someone was playing Sinatra on a Bluetooth speaker. Ellie stood at the top of the stairs, letting the moment linger. The air smelled like citrus and courage. Erica appeared beside her, holding a slice of lemon cake on a napkin. "I made them leave out the raisins." "Then this really is my revolution," Ellie said. They both laughed, standing there like co-conspirators in sunlight. As Ellie descended the steps to applause, she caught sight of a young woman in oversized sunglasses lingering beyond the hedge. Julie, watching from the street, uninvited, unspoken. Ellie didn't break stride. She just lifted her head, smiled for the photos, and raised her lemonade to the sky. Because the next chapter had already begun, and this time it would carry her name in full. The summons arrived on a Wednesday, legal cream envelope, thick paper, language sharp as a blade dulled by repetition. Julie Grant v. Eleanor M. Grant, cause defamation, allegation, malicious falsehoods designed to damage personal and professional standing. Ellie turned the page slowly, letting the silence do most of the reading. Erica hovered behind her shoulder. "She filed this on your birthday?" she said, incredulous. Ellie smiled dryly. Consistency was always her strongest suit. By that evening, Gregory had launched the first salvo, a full evidentiary counterclaim, listing documented forgery, fraudulent POA, intercepted attempts to freeze assets, and most damning, notarized statements from Sunset Haven staff regarding Julie's outburst and attempted coercion. He attached the forensic audit again, now expanded with IP trace logs showing Julie's login to Ellie's tax portal without consent. "She's not suing." "Or you?" Gregory said over the phone. "She's trying to scrub her shame with paperwork." Ellie leaned back in her chair. "Then let's make sure the ink stains." Reddit was already chewing on it. The subreddit r/NoOneForgotten had doubled in size overnight. One user posted side-by-side screenshots, Julie's original real estate bio under Senior Living Specialist and her new sanitized profile. Comments ranged from savage to surgical. Then came the dominoes. 3 of Julie's former clients, 2 widows and 1 retired Navy spouse, filed small claims, each citing Julie's pattern of misleading power of attorney clients and deceptive staging practices. One even posted a selfie with Ellie's blog post printed and highlighted. The caption read, "We believed the wrong daughter. Now we believe the mother." Erica found Ellie on the patio that weekend, scribbling notes into a battered leather journal. "You hiding out?" she asked. "Preparing," Ellie said without looking up, "for the next storm. Gregory says you'll win." "Julie doesn't care about winning," Ellie replied. She cares about being pitied. She wants to be seen as the daughter who is misunderstood, not the woman who signed over her mother's life like a lease. Erica sat beside her, placing a manila folder on the table. Well, maybe this helps. Nonprofit status approved. IRS 501c3 confirmed this morning. Ellie looked up. That was fast. You're viral. Red tape dissolves when public shame enters the chat. They both smiled. Then Ellie slid her journal forward. Across the top, rooms they tried to lock me in. Below it, chapter titles in soft pencil. The Power of Paper Doors, Fake Orchids, and Real Fear, my daughter's signature in my own hand. You're writing a book? Erica asked, brows rising. I'm writing our book, Ellie said. Yours? Mine? Everyone who's ever been called forgettable before they were even gone. Erica blinked fast and looked down. Then Ellie reached over, placing a hand on hers. I want you to co-direct the foundation. Erica froze. Ellie? You've been beside me from the beginning. You believed me before a hashtag did. You knew what I was before I remembered it myself. Erica swallowed hard, then nodded. I'll need a better blazer, she whispered. You'll need a sword, Ellie corrected. Later that week, as the lawsuit's noise settled into static, Gregory called again. This time his voice had an edge. She's not going to stop, he said. Even if she loses. You've become the storm in her story, and she needs someone to blame. I'm not interested in blame, Ellie said, sipping her tea. Then be interested in protection. I want you to consider a final move, one that changes the board. I'm listening. We go federal. Senate Subcommittee on Elder Exploitation. You testify, on record, under oath. We flip this from a lawsuit to a policy review. There was a long pause, then Ellie's voice, low, measured, undeniable. Get me a podium. That night, back in her room, Ellie opened her laptop and stared at the latest email. Another woman, this time from Oregon. Her daughter had taken her pension and left her in a shared facility with no heating. The subject line simply read, Teach me how you did it. Ellie looked down at her own reflection in the dark screen. Not just a survivor, a signal. She clicked reply, then began typing. Not with rage, with blueprints. The mahogany nameplate in front of her read, Eleanor M. Grant. No title, no prefix. Just presence. Ellie sat at the long oak table beneath the unforgiving white lights of the Senate hearing room 226. Her scarf was navy, her shoulders back. Behind her, the seal of the United States Senate gleamed cold and impartial. Mrs. Grant, the chairwoman began, adjusting her mic. We understand you're here to speak on financial abuse of senior citizens? Ellie leaned forward, her voice steady as rainfall. No, Senator. I'm here to speak on erasure. The kind you can't see in bruises, but find in forged documents, locked doors. Phrases like, for your own good. The room stilled. A few reporters leaned forward, pens twitching. They didn't break in with force, Ellie continued. They came in through Wi-Fi, through family trust, through my own signature cut and pasted from last year's 1040 form. A gasp, soft but audible, rippled from the second row. Ellie held the line. I was parked in a pastel hallway and told I'd been relocated for safety. My bank passwords were changed, my mail rerouted, my life gently erased in a way that looked like care, but functioned like control. Cameras clicked. Staffers whispered behind iPads. On the live stream, viewership shot from 12,000 to over 90,000 in 6 minutes. One senator leaned in. And what did you do, Mrs. Grant? I sold the house they tried to steal without leaving my chair, Ellie said. Then I built something new on the foundation they forgot I still owned. Her voice didn't tremble. It landed. And I am not an exception, she said, lifting a small stack of letters tied in string. These are stories from across the country. Women and men with memories intact, rights ignored, assets pilfered, not victims, just unprotected. She slid the stack forward. You can read them, or you can help me make sure no one has to write another. The room burst into applause, unofficial, unsanctioned, but unstoppable. Even the stenographer blinked twice before resuming. Ellie sat back. and exhaled. By the next day, the committee had issued a preliminary recommendation for federal guidelines around elder POA transfers, mandatory deed disclosures, and digital access limits. Cable news dubbed Ellie the Iron Matriarch. Twitter lit up with hashtag #AskEllie. Reddit's pinned post read simply, "We sent her into the belly of the beast, and she redecorated the bones." That same morning, Julie's law firm released a brief statement. "Due to unforeseen conflicts of interest, we will no longer represent Ms. Julie Grant. We wish her the best." Ellie didn't celebrate. She simply sent Gregory a thank you basket filled with paper clips and chamomile. "Tell her," the note read, "that this time the paper held." Back at Sunset Haven, a silver SUV waited discreetly near the staff entrance. Two representatives from a nonprofit legal group, veteran-owned, federally partnered, stepped out. They offered Ellie a soft leather folder and matching peace of mind. "Complimentary security monitoring, asset protection, and identity alerts," the taller one said. "No cost, no catch, just gratitude." Erica whispered later, "You've got your own security detail. You're a one-woman agency." "I'm not the agency," Ellie replied. "I'm the cautionary tale with receipts." That night, as the koi flickered gold beneath the moonlight, Erica handed Ellie a white envelope. "You've been offered a publishing deal," she said. Ellie opened the letter. The title was bold and centered. "Rooms They Tried to Lock Me In, a memoir by Eleanor Grant. Advance, modest but real. Royalties generous, deadline open." "Will you do it?" Erica asked. Ellie traced the lettering with one careful finger. "Only if you write the foreword." "I already started." The next afternoon, the dining hall at Sunset Haven looked like prom for the politically aware. Residents wore campaign pins that read, "No one forgotten." The staff had made custom menus and mocktails named after legal jargon. Even Brandon, the jazz-loving widower, brought his clarinet and played Sinatra as Ellie entered. She was met with a standing ovation. Erica grabbed her hand, lifting it slightly like a small-town mayor announcing election results. Ellie laughed, full-throated and shocked, and wiped one eye with the edge of her sleeve. But before she could sit down, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stepped out into the hallway and answered. "Mrs. Grant?" a voice said. Young, nervous. "I'm calling from a firm in Palm Beach. I think we have a problem. Your daughter's trying to claim a secondary estate. Something about retroactive trust rights." Ellie inhaled sharply and smiled. "No problem," she said. "Just a sequel." She hung up and turned to find Erica waiting with 2 glasses of lemonade. Ellie took one and raised it like a toast to the long game. The knock came just past noon, tentative, too polite to be staff. Ellie looked up from her manuscript notes, then heard Erica's soft voice at the door. "You've got a visitor. Family." Ellie stiffened. Not many options there. Erica opened the door wider, revealing Maya. Barefaced, hoodie zipped to her chin, her fingers twisted the sleeve hem as if trying to shrink inside it. "I asked her to come through the staff wing," Erica murmured. "Didn't want a scene?" Ellie nodded once. "Come in." Maya stepped inside and stood just past the threshold. Her sneakers squeaked against the floor. She looked older than Ellie remembered, and younger all at once. "I don't expect this to fix anything," Maya said quickly, voice cracking. I can't sit with it anymore." Ellie didn't speak, just waited. "I helped her," Maya blurted. "Mom, I helped her fake the POA." The words landed like a slow-moving crash, predictable but still loud. Ellie's hands didn't move from her lap. Maya kept going. I work in UX now. I knew how to splice a signature clean. She said it was just a precaution that you were forgetting things, that it was to keep you safe." She swallowed. "She made it sound like you were going to get hurt, that we had to act before it got worse." Ellie tilted her head, her voice almost gentle. "And you believed her?" Maya's chin trembled. "I wanted to, but I knew better. I knew it was wrong. I just didn't want to lose her. And I thought, maybe it didn't matter. You were already there, at Sunset Haven, and everything looked so normal." Ellie looked away for a long moment, her gaze resting on the koi pond through the window. "You were my favorite, you know," she said softly. "When you were small, you used to crawl into my bed on stormy nights, say, it was for my sake." Maya's eyes welled instantly. I'm sorry. Silence thickened, but it wasn't cruel. It was cautious. Sacred. I'm not asking for anything, Maya whispered. But if you ever need me to testify or confirm what I did, I'll do it. And if not, I'll still do whatever you ask. Ellie turned back, slow and deliberate. Full honesty, no sanitized versions for social media. If you talk, you tell the whole thing, your part included. Maya nodded. And you work, here, with the foundation. No titles, no soft landings, filing, organizing, cleaning up after seminars. You earn back what you tried to erase. Maya wiped her nose and whispered, Okay. Ellie leaned forward. And if you ever, even once, let your mother spin this again. I won't. Another silence, this one deeper. Then Ellie motioned to the side table. There's a volunteer sign-up sheet in the yellow folder. Print your name. No aliases. Maya crossed to the table with reverence as if the paper might combust. She wrote her name slowly, then set the pen down like it might bite her. Erica slipped back in after a quiet knock. She okay to stay a while? She asked Ellie. Ellie considered. Give her a badge, she said. Nothing fancy, just volunteer. Maya smiled, a flicker, nothing wide. As Erica left to find the badge, Maya looked around the room like she was seeing it properly for the first time. You built all this? She asked. No, Ellie replied. I rebuilt it. Later that afternoon, after folding event flyers and organizing workshop kits, Maya asked for one photo, nothing public, just something for herself. They stood by the koi pond. Erica snapped the shot. Ellie didn't smile exactly, but she didn't frown either. That night, the photo quietly appeared on the Foundation's page with a caption. Ellie wrote herself, Accountability is not the end of love, it's the beginning of respect. The post barely cracked 1,000 likes. But Ellie didn't need it to go viral. She just needed it to go somewhere her daughter could see it, and know forgiveness had started. But trust would have to earn its way home. The email came with a subject line that read like a joke. Netflix inquiry, limited series rights, no one forgotten. Ellie read it twice, then a third time, before setting her teacup down as if it might tip the balance of reality. Erica stood nearby, scanning printed workshop handouts. You look like someone just offered you a rocket ship. They want to make a show, Ellie said flatly. Erica blinked. Like a documentary? Ellie turned the screen so she could read. Like a scripted drama. Limited series, 6 episodes. They're calling it Elder Code. Erica's face twisted. That sounds like a vitamin commercial. They said the title's a placeholder. Ellie leaned back in her chair. But the offer isn't. Attached was a treatment summary, 3 producer bios, and a contract. Generous royalties, executive producer credit, and, most importantly, a creative oversight clause. Ellie tapped the screen. They want the story, I want the truth. 1 week later, Ellie sat in a private conference room with a pair of LA execs wearing ironic blazers and untamed enthusiasm. She didn't bother pretending she was impressed. I'll agree to this, she said, flipping through the packet. If I get final script review and casting veto, you can shape the narrative, but I own the spine. One of the producers nodded so fast it looked like a malfunction. Absolutely. That's what we want. Your voice, your terms. And I want Erica on as a story consultant, Ellie added, not glancing toward her. Erica dropped her pen. Wait, me? You know the bones. You know the angles. You were in the room when the stakes changed. The younger exec beamed. Intergenerational lens. Love that. Erica looked stunned. I don't even know how a script works. Ellie smiled. You'll learn. The next morning, The Hollywood Reporter broke the story. Netflix greenlights limited series based on viral elder advocacy icon Eleanor Grant. Julie wasted no time. Within hours, she posted a screenshot of the article with a caption. This story is fiction. It's a character assassination disguised as justice. Shame on anyone who profits from false memory. Ellie didn't respond. She didn't need to. Instead, she finalized her casting preferences. For her role, an actress in her 60s, known for playing courtroom icons and wounded matriarchs, someone who could embody the steel under the silk. For Erica's stand-in, a rising black actress with the kind of emotional gravity most shows didn't know how to write for, she circled her name with a blue pen. "Make it real," she told the showrunner on their weekly call. "Don't make it cute." The showrunner agreed. "We want raw, not retirement home chic. This isn't a redemption story, it's a resistance one." Ellie nodded. "Then we understand each other." 3 months later, the teaser dropped. It was only 60 seconds long, but it hit like a courtroom gavel. Ellie's voice, recorded, not acted, opened the trailer. They didn't change the locks, they changed the language. Images flashed, a woman folding linens in a strange room, a signature fading into static, a daughter's smile too wide, a notary's stamp, a koi pond, a sold sign. Then the tagline, "What they thought was retirement was reconnaissance." The internet lost its mind. Clips were reposted, reaction videos poured in, Reddit mods begged people to read the source material. TikTok seniors lip-synced the trailer's monologue with dramatic flair. Julie, once again, went silent. That night, Erica set up her laptop in the library and poured 2 glasses of elderflower soda. "You want to watch it?" "I already did," Ellie said, sitting beside her. "Twice. But I want to hear it with you." They watched in silence. At the end, when the screen faded to black and Ellie's name filled the frame, Erica looked over. Ellie's eyes glistened, but she didn't wipe them. She just held still, letting it wash through. "Feels like someone turned my life into stone," she said quietly. "But this time, I got to carve it." Erica didn't say anything. She just reached for Ellie's hand. In the distance, the koi swirled gently. And Ellie whispered, "Let's make sure this isn't the peak." Because the story wasn't finished. It had only found its camera. By the end of its 2nd week on Netflix, No One Forgotten sat at number 3 on the global top 10 list. Viewers across the country watched Ellie's fictional double stand in courtrooms, navigate betrayal, and sell her own condo with a cocktail napkin as a notepad. Critics called it a masterclass in graceful vengeance. Twitter called it the boomer rebellion we didn't know we needed. Ellie didn't have a Twitter, but Erica kept her informed. "There's fan art," she said one morning over breakfast. "Someone made a digital oil painting of you in a power suit holding a notary stamp like a gavel." Ellie shook her head. "I was in orthopedic shoes." "They gave you boots." "Well, at least someone got the metaphor right." The media storm rolled on, but Ellie stayed rooted in her routines. Workshops on digital literacy, small grant approvals through the foundation, late afternoons by the koi pond. Her mailbox, though, began to bulge. Letters from law students, retired nurses, a man in Ohio who'd escaped his niece's control of his disability check after seeing her story, most signed with some variation of, "You made me brave again." Erica would stack them neatly on her desk, tied in ribbon. Ellie read every one. In a rural diner off I-75, a waitress poured coffee refills into ceramic mugs shaped like acorns. Julie sat at the corner booth, hair in a low ponytail, her name tag crooked. She'd been spotted by a former neighbor passing through on a business trip. He hadn't spoken to her, just snapped a photo and sent it to Brandon, who forwarded it to Erica. Erica showed it to Ellie quietly. "She looks different," Erica said. "She is," Ellie replied. She didn't ask for it to be deleted. She didn't forward it. She just closed the folder. Meanwhile, Maya had become the quiet anchor of the No One Forgotten outreach team. She scheduled guest speakers, tracked grant dispersals, and helped translate the workshops into mobile-friendly resources for senior centers with outdated tech. She never asked to be praised. But Ellie did one day anyway. "You've become what she couldn't imagine," she said, handing Maya a stack of signed checks. "Someone worth trusting." Maya swallowed hard and nodded. "I'm not trying to erase what I did." "I know," Ellie replied. "You're trying to build past it. That's harder." When the invitation arrived from NYU, Ellie thought it was a prank. The envelope was formal, letterpress text etched in deep blue ink. The Gallatin Institute for Public Service and Social Change cordially invites Eleanor M. Grant to receive an honorary doctorate of humane letters in recognition of her advocacy and legislative contributions. Erica framed it before Ellie could object. "They don't give those away," she said. "I never finished college," Ellie murmured. "Then I guess this makes you the world's most credentialed dropout." Around the same time, the state of Florida announced a new elder policy initiative named after her, the Grant Protocol. It required third-party reviews for all digital POA changes, community advocates in long-term care transfers, and notarized consent for property liquidation. Ellie read the policy outline in full. Then she signed a check from her final series royalty payment. It was made out to a quiet nonprofit in Lakeland that gave scholarships to single mothers returning to school. The memo line read, "Because you still own your story." She mailed it herself. No return address. On the night of the show's season finale, the residents of Sunset Haven gathered in the lounge with popcorn and mocktails. Ellie almost skipped it. But Erica knocked twice on her door, holding 2 glasses of ginger, ale and a reserved seat sign. "Front row," she said. "No negotiations." The finale ended on a slow pullback, Ellie's character standing beneath a jacaranda tree, surrounded by women who looked like her, laughed like her, and refused to disappear quietly. As the screen faded, the room erupted in cheers. Ellie stood slowly, overcome by something that wasn't pride or victory. It was stillness. She turned to Erica. "That story needed telling." Erica nodded. "It did. But you know what?" Ellie looked up. "You're not finished yet." And somewhere across the country, another envelope was being sealed. This one addressed to Ellie, stamped from the Department of Justice, marked confidential, Reform Advisory Board appointment. The postcard had no return address, just a watercolor sketch of a door, turquoise, a little weathered with the hinges shown missing. Below it, in uneven script, "Some things don't open again, but I hope you know I still knock." Ellie held it for a long while before placing it on her desk, face up. Erica passed behind her and paused. "She didn't sign it," Erica noted. "She didn't have to," Ellie replied. That night, Ellie found herself lying awake, the koi pond's gentle burble muffled through the window. She thought about the door. Not the one in the picture, but the one Julie had closed the moment she forged that signature. A door Ellie had knocked on herself, through lawyers, silence, and memory, and she was tired of standing in doorways. The next morning, Ellie called a rideshare and asked the driver to take her to 301 East Mayfield, her old address. She didn't tell Erica. She didn't take Maya. This was a solo pilgrimage. The building had changed. New shutters, new paint, a young lemon tree planted in what used to be a stubborn patch of crabgrass. Ellie stepped out slowly, her cane balanced, her scarf catching the breeze. She didn't knock. She didn't need to. The door opened anyway. A woman in her 30s, baby on her hip, blinked at Ellie. "Can I help you?" Ellie smiled. "Number you already did." The woman tilted her head. "I'm the one who used to own this place," Ellie explained. "Before it was yours." Recognition flickered across the woman's face. "Oh my God," she whispered. Wait, you're her. We watched the series. This was your home?" Ellie nodded once. The woman stepped aside instinctively. "Would you like to come in?" Ellie hesitated for only a second. "No," she said gently. "It's yours now. That's the point." The baby babbled something that sounded like "bah," reaching a hand toward Ellie. She wiggled her fingers in return. "It's beautiful," she said, glancing around. "Better than I left it." The woman smiled. "Thank you for selling it. We were living in a 1-bedroom with mold in the ceiling. This place, it gave us a fresh start." Ellie's chest tightened. New roots, no ghosts. She touched the porch railing one last time, then turned back toward the waiting car. That afternoon, Ellie returned to Sunset Haven and went straight to her room. She pulled a battered box from her closet shelf, one she hadn't opened since before the hearings, before the show. Inside were notebooks, date-stamped and dog-eared, full of angry handwriting and margin scribbles, maps of pain she no longer needed to reference. She placed them on the Foundation's office desk with a note clipped to the top. "For archive. Use carefully. These are not blueprints. They're just proof the walls were real." Maya found the box later and didn't open it. She just read the note twice and whispered, "Thank you." That night, Erica brought Ellie chamomile tea and found her on the patio again, staring at the sky like it might spell something. "You okay?" she asked. "I think I'm free," Ellie said softly. "From the lawsuit?" "No," Ellie said. "From needing her to admit what she did. I think that door's gone." Erica sat beside her. "So what's next?" Ellie smiled faintly. "Maybe I build new ones, with locks that open from both sides." The stars shimmered above them, indifferent and bright. Inside, Maya printed flyers for the next advocacy workshop, how to leave a legacy without losing yourself. Outside, the koi stirred like they were listening. Ellie didn't speak again that night, but the next morning, her desk held a fresh notepad with 3 new words written across the top. The last lesson. The new residents always arrived the same way, cautiously, wheeling suitcases behind them, wide-eyed and politely disoriented, trying to smile like this wasn't the last stop on some long, quiet road. Ellie sat in her usual chair by the lobby window, a place that had once felt like Exile. Now it was a vantage point. An older couple in matching denim jackets walked past, holding hands and bickering over room keys. A silver-haired woman in aviators adjusted her Bluetooth headset and barked something about tech support or revolution. Ellie chuckled. "Good crowd today," Erica said, passing with a clipboard and wink. "Sunset Haven." Ellie. They'd expanded outreach to 12 states, partnered with libraries, launched a hotline. Erica now had a full staff and her own business cards. Ellie kept one in her wallet like a prayer card. The walls of Sunset Haven's community room, once bare, now held framed portraits of former residents who'd become advocates. And at the center, a large photo of Ellie at her Senate testimony, one hand on the microphone, the other clutching a string of letters. Not a symbol of strength, a witness to its survival. The ceremony was modest, just as Ellie preferred, but Maya insisted on one moment of formality. She stood behind a podium with steady hands, a cascade of note cards untouched beside her. "This isn't about a woman who fought," Maya said, voice sure. "It's about a woman who refused to be folded. When others tried to rename her future, she signed it back into her own hands. And now, because she didn't flinch, 50 of us get to write new endings." Ellie listened from the front row, eyes brimming. The crowd rose in applause. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived on parchment stock with the seal of the American Civic Honors Board embossed at the top. "Dear Ms. Grant, it is our honor to inform you that you have been selected to receive the 2025 American Legacy Award for courage in aging, clarity in truth, and proof that dignity is not a commodity, but a right." Erica read it aloud. Maya cried openly. Ellie didn't speak. She just folded the letter and placed it beside a photograph of her and her late husband, taken years ago in front of the Condo fireplace. "Tell him," she whispered. "We stayed standing." The wing dedication came on a rainy afternoon. Erica led Ellie through the east hallway. Fresh paint, new benches, sunlight pouring through the newly installed skylight. Nurses had gathered. A few board members. Even Brandon came, clarinet in hand, humming, "The Way You Look Tonight." A black cloth hung over a plaque. Erica smiled at her. "Want to do the honors?" Ellie pulled it gently. The metal gleamed. The Eleanor Grant wing in honor of those who said no, even when the world called it impolite. For a long moment, Ellie said nothing. Then she turned to Erica. "Promise me something. Anything. Keep the door unlocked. Always." That evening, Ellie returned to the lobby chair. The rain had stopped, leaving rivulets on the window. Across the way, the koi pond shimmered. She placed her hand on the armrest, then stood. Not because she was restless, because she was ready. Her joints ached, but her back stayed straight as she moved down the hallway. Nurses nodded. Residents waved. She passed the front desk where her name used to be a footnote in a visitor log. Now it was carved into the stone. She walked past it, toward the garden, not as someone's burden, but as her own unfolding. Behind her, the chair remained empty, waiting for the next person who thought their best chapters had already ended.